You are low down dirty shame, honey.
Oh no, I'm God's baby. And I don't start it, I finish it.
There's nothing godly.
It's defamation of character to talk about me that you don't know
Defamation of
about.
character about a man that's not sitting at this table that did not.
So you ever talk about her ex-boyfriend?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 9, Episode 5. And before we get into it, let me just say, this episode gave what the other girls were supposed to have gave, in the words of the iconic Rolling Ray. Baby, say what you want about Miss Karen Huger, but Miss Karen Huger cleared. And I was screaming at how the vast majority of this episode was centered over a lunch. Now, Mia, Ashley, and Jacqueline, please come to the front because the way I'm about to be whacking y'all several times throughout this recap. Mia and Ashley, I think it's safe to say that you guys can both go. Ashley, you haven't had a storyline in quite some time. It's feeling like Bravo is phasing you out. And Miss Mia, this whole ratchet love and hip hop storyline that nobody cares about, it's time for you to go. And I know that Carlos King gassed your head up saying that you're the new face of Potomac and how you're a star, but let me tell you something, not in this lifetime or the next.
No.
But without further ado, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up this episode right where we left it off last week with Mia spilling some stale tea about Karen. So she says 3 years ago, me, my friend Joy, and Karen went out for dinner. We had been drinking. And when we left, Karen had butt dialed us saying something like, these girls think I'm with Ray, but I'm with somebody else. And Karen is confused. She's not here for this. And she says, I didn't do that. Was I drunk? And now Mia says, well, I'm only bringing this up because you came after my girl. You called Jacqueline a liar earlier on. So without missing a beat, Karen says, well, she is a liar, but hold on now, because why would I say that? Were we drinking brown liquor that night? Because I remember that I had pulled over and called my driver to pick me up. And now Mia jumps in and says, yeah, you did get behind the wheel, but then you did pull over and call your driver, so good for you. So Karen says, yeah, that's what I always do. And Mia's like, no, not always. And Karen says, yes, always. And I said, but Karen, let me just stop for a minute. Because there's obviously a pattern with you overindulging, getting intoxicated, and then getting behind the wheel. Even though you did pull over and called your driver, that's still not safe. Something could have happened between the time that you got behind the wheel and pulled over. So now we cut to Mia's confessional and she shares that they had a lot to drink that night. And on the way home, Karen had drunk called her. And then she goes on to say that she had left that part of the story out. But I said, Mia, I just think that it's ridiculous and it's loser behavior for you to bring up a story from 3 years ago. So you were just sitting on this the entire time? That's not weird to you? So now we cut to Ashley's confessional, and like I pointed out in my last recap, it's clear that Ashley's on her way out because even in her confessionals, there's this desperation for her to say something messy or throw some shade. She's on overdrive, in my opinion, to stay on this show. Because for her to say that the streets have been alive regarding Karen's forays and how she's heard and seen some things for herself. And I said, girl, you haven't seen or heard anything. You've heard the same old tired rumors about Karen and this alleged side man for the last 9 years, like all of us. We all know how you are. You rejoice in other people's misfortunes. So I already know without a shadow of a doubt that if you actually had some tea on Karen, you would have said it already. And then for you to add that you believe with every fiber in your being that Mia and Joy are telling the truth, I said, girl, shut up. And you look really silly this season trying to align yourself with Mia and Jacqueline. Talk about losers. But then again, that's who you are too, so why am I surprised? Like attracts like, so you getting closer to Mia and Jacqueline, it makes sense. So Karen and Mia are still sparring, and Karen says, well, I like how you take up for your friend, but Jacqueline is still a liar. So Jacqueline's like, no, I'm not. And Mia says, no, she's not. She's been vindicated. So Karen says, no, she hasn't. So now Stacy interjects and she's asking Mia, why did Mia wait 3 years to take this out of her back pocket? So Mia says, well, because Karen never called her a liar before. And Karen was like, girl, shut up. The way you and Jacqueline have ripped each other's eyeballs out, like, stop. So now we cut to Jacqueline's confessional, and she says that Karen took this little itty bitty thing that she said and blew it up, and how she wasn't lying. Now, Jacqueline, let's just be very clear. You brought this trouble on yourself when you tried to be shady in the first episode of this season, saying that Karen called you up and she sounded tipsy. There was no reason for that. You started this whole entire thing. Karen has finished it. Now your feelings are hurt, and now you want to act like Karen's in the wrong? No. Next time, just sit there and eat your food and shut your mouth. So Karen says that what makes her an okay person is that she owns the good, the bad, and the indifferent about her. And I said, now, Karen, we don't have to lie. When you're in the hot seat, you do deflect. We've seen that for many seasons. So I don't know about all this, well, you own the good and the bad. I don't think so. I find it to be weird how Mia will try to shade somebody or humiliate somebody, but then she'll turn around and act like she's concerned. Because when she asked Karen, how's her marriage doing? How's Ray doing? And I said, girl, you were just trying to pull some tea and embarrass her about some butt dial from 3 years ago. Now all of a sudden you're worried about her marriage? What's going on? So Karen shares that her and Ray were having some issues prior to the accident, but at the end of the day, Ray has been her soldier, he stood beside her, and he hasn't wavered. Personally, I've said this before in other recaps in prior seasons, but I wouldn't be surprised if Karen and Ray have an arrangement. So with that being said, I'm not really buying that they're having all these marital issues, because I believe that Karen might have somebody satisfying certain needs on the side, and then when her and Ray get together, they're a united front. It's a strong marriage. They enjoy each other, good conversation, companionship, and that's what it is. And even if they are dealing with marital issues, that's not an excuse to get behind the wheel intoxicated. But we cut to Kiarna's confessional, and she says that she's not buying this whole thing about marital issues with Ray. She thinks that Karen was grieving her mom in that moment. And then she goes on to say that when she thinks about her and her mom and how close they are, she couldn't imagine her life with her mom not being here, and you never know what life throws at you. And yes, the loss of a parent is devastating, speaking from experience, but you can't use that to justify getting behind the wheel drunk. So there's a lull in conversation, and now Wendy interjects and she says, 1 more hour till I'm out of my 30s. Now, you would think that everybody would respond to that and wish her an early happy birthday or something. There's none of that. Mia interrupts her and she's like, well, everybody, thanks for a good dinner. I had fun. And I said, damn, it seems like every time Wendy tries to speak, you guys keep cutting her off. Like nobody cares. I just thought that was so rude because there was no acknowledgement to what Wendy said. So as everybody's walking back into the house, we see Ashley, Jacqueline, and Mia up on the balcony, and Ashley's like, y'all were the MVPs. I said, who? Mia and Jacqueline and MVP in the same sentence? No, ma'am. And Ashley, like I said a few minutes ago, I find it comical that you're aligning with the losing team. I don't know who told you to hitch your wagon to them, but girl, you're on the wrong side as usual. So Mia's like, well, I had to help my girl out because she was drowning earlier, and I don't like for anybody close to me to be accused of being liars. And I said, girl, nobody's accusing anybody. They're simply telling the truth. You and your friend are liars. So now we cut to Stacy on her balcony, and she's on FaceTime with her boyfriend, TJ. So I'm not trying to be funny. I promise you, I swear to y'all, I'm not being shady when I say this. But this FaceTime call felt like two friends or cousins or brother and sister. It just did not feel like it was anything romantic. This felt very much platonic. TJ picks up the phone and he's like, hey, princess, how are you? How's everything going? And that's how he said it. That's how he said it, and that's what he said. Okay, I'm not being funny. Don't look at me like that. I'm just telling y'all what happened. There's a very sexy way that a man could call you princess, and TJ did not say it in that way. That's all I'm going to say, okay? I'm gonna leave it right there. To be honest, this entire conversation between Stacey and TJ was just weird, because you have TJ saying that he's just calling to check on her to see if she's doing what they talked about. And I said again, why is TJ so pressed for Stacey to tell everybody that they're not having sex? What you do, or in this case, what you don't do, really isn't anybody's business. So I'm just confused as to why TJ wants everybody to know. Stacey, girl, come close. And I'm not trying to be shady. I'm really not. But are you sure that this is what you want? I'm gonna just leave it right there. So anyhow, as Stacey's on the phone, Wendy comes out on the balcony and Stacey says, oh my gosh, Wendy, meet my boyfriend TJ. So Wendy says hi, they make some small talk, and now we cut to Wendy's confessional, and she says that Stacey and TJ remind her of that virgin couple who met at Vacation Bible School. And Jazzy also walks over and says hi to TJ as well. Now, I know I can't be the only one, but even when TJ said that he loved her and he missed her, it didn't sound like a boyfriend. This sounded like you were talking to a brother or a cousin. I didn't feel any chemistry. Like, I don't know, y'all. I do not think that TJ is into Stacey at all. And I'm going to just leave it right there. But something's off. And the fact that Stacey got off that phone and was giggling, I said, girl, Stacey, I need you to wake up. You are a beautiful woman. I know you're not giddy like a schoolgirl over TJ. I don't see or feel any connection whatsoever. Y'all look like good friends. So everybody's in the living room at this point. It's around 11:55, and we know that they're waiting on Wendy's birthday because they want to be the first ones to usher in her 40th. Karen had me on the floor. She said that for her 40th birthday, they had a house party, they had a full band, they had dancers, and they were partying until the sun came up. But she said, we're in pajamas right now. I'm not really sure about Wendy's 40th birthday, but good luck. And I know that I've said this before, but I'm really tired of these cast trips where they have dinner and then they just go back to the house. Can we please see them go out to a club or a lounge? So as they're waiting for the clock to strike midnight, Ashley goes on to ask Wendy if she has any words about the last 2 minutes of her 30s. And Wendy gets up and gives a speech. She says that for every year in her adulthood, she's always gone out the country for her birthday. Then she goes on to say that she feels overwhelmed and surrounded by love, and how this birthday is going to go down as one of her best birthdays ever. So they're all like, "Aw, Wendy, we're so happy to hear that." And when the clock strikes midnight, they all are like, happy birthday. She's twerking. They all get up and start dancing, being silly, having fun. And in this moment, I got a bit choked up because for the first time in a long time, well, actually since Wendy got on this show, this was the first time where Wendy actually was embraced by this group. Because since the time that Wendy has stepped foot on this show, she has been battling it out with everybody on this cast, along with the viewers. She has not had an easy go at all. But the fact that she is finally in a space where they all are embracing her and they're treating her well and celebrating her, that felt really good to see. And I said, it's about damn time. But I thought it was touching and important to see Wendy state off all of her accomplishments. She said, I'm a mom of 3 beautiful kids, married to my soulmate, professor, author, 4 degrees. And I said, come the F through, Dr. Wendy. I love it. I think that everybody, especially women, especially Black women, need to really bask in our accomplishments, our achievements, and be proud of them. But now it's the next morning. It's officially Wendy's 40th birthday, and she says that it's her day, and she hopes that it's going to be drama-free. And I said, girl, wishful thinking. And I understand a girl can dream, right? It's your birthday. You expect for everybody to act right. But unfortunately, that's not how it goes. Now, this conversation between Mia and Jacqueline by the pool, when I tell you guys, I don't care. I'm sick and tired of Mia trying to gain sympathy about all the hardships that she's dealing with between her and Gordon still lashing out at her. Again, I don't have an F to give. And also, Gordon brought this whole thing on himself when he cheated on his then wife with Mia and then left her out in the cold because he thought that Mia was the better option since she was 30 years younger. You made your bed, Gordon. It's time to lie in it. Now, I saw the clips of Mia when she was on Watch What Happens Live after the episode, and she revealed that Gordon has a new girlfriend. I don't know what woman is checking for a man his age with no money. She must be really hard up for a man. Now, we all know that Gizelle left last night to head back to Potomac to see her twins' cap and gown ceremony. And we see a short scene with them. They've graduated. Gizelle is emotional. We see them at a graduation party with her and Jamal there giving speeches. Now, not too much to say other than congratulations to Angel and Adore. And one thing about it, regardless of how I felt about Gizelle throughout all these seasons, one thing has been consistent. I think that she's a great mother and she's done a great job with her girls. And it's always enjoyable seeing them on the screen. But once again, congratulations to Angel and Adore. And it's so crazy how time flies because when the show first started almost 9 years ago, and we saw the girls when they were like 9 and 10, and now they're 18 and 19. It's wild. So we jump right back over to everybody else at Lake Norman, and it's time for some lunch. So Wendy, of course, is on a high. It's her 40th birthday. She's excited, good vibes, and they sit at the table. The lunch is prepared. That food looked amazing. They had chicken and waffles, grits and shrimp. Mouth is just watering as we speak. So as they're eating, they're asking Wendy how she's feeling. So Wendy says that she feels good, she feels loved, and her phone has been ringing nonstop since midnight. So now Ashley wants to know if Wendy has a bucket list that she wants to check off. And Wendy says, well, actually, I do. I actually want to go skydiving. So now she points out how Ashley has gone skydiving and she wants to know how was it. So Ashley says, well, actually, it's not scary at all. So now we find out that Ashley and Michael went skydiving on their second date. And then she adds that they had a great time in the air and an even better time when they landed. So she's obviously alluding to them having sex after skydiving. Now, Ashley, I want to hold your hand when I say this, but none of us want to imagine you and Michael Darby having sex. I don't want that visual in my mind of that creep on top of you. So please. Also, y'all are going through this divorce. So why are you even bringing up old times when you guys were having sex? You should be so past that. You should be focused on the new. I mean, I know I would be. I would not be thinking about him like, what? This needs to be her last season. So now Wendy turns to Mia and she wants to know, what does Mia have planned for the rest of the day? So Mia says, well, after lunch is over, feel free to sit out by the pool and have some fun. But by 1:30, be ready to go because I'm going to show you guys the first doctor's office that I opened in Charlotte. So she goes on to say that she wants them to meet Dr. McDaddy. He was the first physician that she hired. So they were all like, girl, Dr. McWho? Karen had me yelling. When she said, does Dr. McDaddy have some Dr. McHo in him? I said, when Karen is funny, she is hilarious. But I was just as confused as everybody else. I said, girl, this whole Dr. McDaddy sounds like the title of something on Pornhub or I'm just saying. So now Wendy's phone starts ringing and it's Gizelle calling to wish Wendy a happy birthday. Now, when Wendy said, guys, my new best friend is on the line, I said, girl, I'm just truly blown away because last season, Gizelle was not having it. She refused to talk to Wendy, look Wendy in the eye, and now all of a sudden, not only are they good, but Gizelle is calling Wendy up for a FaceTime to wish her a happy birthday. I said, wow, my. And before anybody says, well, Brooke, it's fake, she's just doing that to keep her check, hear me out. These shows don't work if nobody moves forward. We've been asking for this for quite some time. So we're finally seeing it, so you can't get upset now. Yes, I'm not saying that you have to all of a sudden be Gizelle's biggest fan after what's gone down for the last 7 or 8 seasons. What I am saying is that we can all rejoice in the fact that there is finally some resolution and we're able to get some group scenes without it being divided. I'll take this any day over seeing Gizelle saying that she's happy to see somebody being assaulted or she refuses to film with certain people. So, small victories. So now Wendy and Gizelle's phone call is over, and Karen says, Wendy, we've come a long way. So Wendy agrees and says that that's how she wants her 40th to be, all about forgiveness and being open. So here's where things start to go left. Right after Wendy says that, Jacqueline interjects and she says, oh yeah, forgiveness is important because when you don't forgive, you turn very nasty and bitter. So now Mia chimes in and she co-signs and she says, yeah, because when you hold grudges, it makes you a nasty old bitch. And it's obvious that they're both subbing Karen. So Stacy calls it out and she's like, Jacqueline, are you referring to Karen? And Ashley's like, yeah, Jacqueline, are you alluding to somebody? And of course, Jacqueline's being passive aggressive. And she says, no, I'm just talking in general. Now, one thing I can't stand are people who play in your face. Say it with your chest. You knew that you were subbing me. I caught it. Now, when you're confronted about it, now you lie and say, oh no, I was just talking in general. Don't do that. Again, Jacqueline, I don't think that you're cut out for reality TV because you can't say things with your chest. So here's where all hell breaks loose because Kiarna is going to always stand 10 toes down for her girl Karen. So she jumps in and she says, honestly, Karen needs a break today because what happened last night at dinner, what the hell was that? Mia, you brought something up from 3 years ago? So Mia's being smug and she says, well, that was girlfriend's boot camp. And I think that Karen's actually proud because she put me through girlfriend's boot camp and I passed. I got my flute. Now we're working on your flute. Now I said the gag is you sat up there thinking that Kiarna was only a friend of, and the whole time Bravo upgraded her and she's full-time just like you, sis. And I wouldn't brag about a flute that you've been desperate to keep and secure each season. A fake cancer scare, exploiting your mother. Now you're exploiting your young son with this mess about who's his father. Not too much about, well, I secured my flute, let's work on yours. Don't do that. Because Miss Mamas, you've been desperate at every single turn. And Kiarna hasn't. And she still got her flute. So let's check that. So Kiarna's like, girl, I'm not the one. I didn't need my flute. You did. So Mia's like, are you sure? Are you sure about that? Well, let's talk about your drug dealer boyfriend. I said, girl, what? You of all people trying to shade her about having a drug dealer boyfriend who is an ex, by the way. Do you hear yourself? And here goes Ashley trying to get some camera time because Lord knows she's desperate. So she's like, oh yeah, I've heard that too. The streets have been talking that you used to be with a drug dealer. I said, girl, shut up. You heard this from Mia. Who's just talking about Kiarna and this ex-boyfriend? Nobody. And you were married to a creep who is squeezing other people's butts without their consent and cheating on you every chance he got and letting you know that he was never going to be satisfied with just you in the bed. He always wanted other people. So again, not too much about who Kiarna used to date when you were with a man who didn't want you or value you in the least bit. Every time you bring Michael up, I have secondhand embarrassment for you. because that's an L. So Kiana makes it clear that, honey, I don't know who you're talking about. If I was dating a drug dealer, that was back in the day, but the man I'm with now is a professional. He's a clinical social worker, so there's that. So Kiana goes on to ask Mia about her past, and Mia says, well, I was a stripper turned entrepreneur, and the way production is so shady, they flash to the chef, and the chef is gagged. The way he was eavesdropping. So Mia, I know that you're not that bright, but for you to say that you didn't have to go to the streets, I just want to sit there for a minute because that is the biggest oxymoron. And Mia, I am pretty sure I could bet money on it that you've also dated some drug dealers too in your time. Do we know what your ex-husband did for a living? I'll wait. You've always been very quiet about that. But for you to sit up here and act like you weren't also in the streets is beyond me. And be very clear, I don't have any judgments towards anybody who strips. Girl, get your money. And that's a very hard job. The stamina, and you need to be in great shape to be a stripper. If you've ever taken a pole dancing class, that's not a game. That will whip you in shape. I have nothing but respect. But what we won't do is sit up here and act like you were this polished woman and act like Kiana is just this street girl who is out here with all these drug dealers doing all this stuff. That's not the case. And then for you to keep saying that you don't know anything about the streets, but Kiana does. Now, had Kiana brought up your childhood and how turbulent it was, and how your parents were on the streets, that would have been too far. Because what you said next, Kiana should have warned you out. When you said, again, Kiana, we know that you know all about the streets, stitches, and she's referencing when Kiana got stitched up when she got hit at the GNA event last season. That was such an evil thing to say. And I said it on Twitter. Had Kiana said, oh, okay, you want to call me Stitches, but if I call you Crater Face, then it's a problem. You have been on this show now for 4 seasons. You are seeing a great amount of money. Explain to me why you have yet to go and get your skin taken care of. And I just find it weird that Mia always starts with folks, then when they take it to another level, then she gets mad. And I love how Kiana ate you up when she said, first of all, this skin is glass. And not too much, girl, when you sat up there and assaulted Wendy 2 years ago. And you see how Mia was trying to roll her eyes and took a sip out of her drink, not trying to acknowledge that? I said, exactly. You want to sit up here and taunt somebody, but then when they eat you up, now you want to ignore them? That's not how this works, girl. And also, we're still waiting on that apology to Wendy because I've yet to hear it. And Bravo should have fired your behind when you did that to Wendy because you were dead ass wrong. Now, I love how Wendy clocked in and jumped in to defend Kiana. She was like, anybody referring to Kiana as Stitches, that's really low. So now Mia's talking about, oh, well, we don't bring up other people's past. I said, wait, you just brought up her ex-boyfriend being a drug dealer, but now when Kiana calls you out for assaulting Wendy, now is we don't talk about the past? Girl, shut the entire hell up. Mia really needs help. What is going on in that pea brain? So now Jazzy jumps in and she's like, look, guys, I know you guys have ruined quite a few birthdays, but let's not do it today. It's Wendy's day, and I want her to have a great day from start to finish. And just when you think that it's about to die down and they're about to attempt to have a nice lunch, things get started again. Because now Ashley turns to Kiana, and she's like, Kiana, I have a question. Do you still have the scar, though? Because I can't see it. So Kiana's like, girl, you of all people should not be asking me about my scar. Yes, I still have the scar, and don't ask me anything about it. So at this point, Kiana is irate. She gets up from the table and she starts screaming. So of course, Ashley is doing what she does best. She's playing victim, and she's like, oh my gosh, I was asking a question. I didn't mean any harm. I said, Ashley is the epitome of throwing rocks and hiding her hands. She does this every single year. Don't you dare play in our faces and act like you were only asking an innocent question. You were being messy. You were purposely trying to get her riled up. And also, Ashley, let's really talk about how you were the one who set that whole entire fight in motion. And what you won't do is pretend like you're innocent and you're only asking because you care. And I really felt for Kiana when she started screaming even more. And she was like, don't you ever effing ask me about my scar again. And I really felt Kiana's pain when she stormed off and then turned around to yell at Ashley some more. I just said, Kiana, I completely understand how you feel, because to have to go back to that horrible night where Ashley set some folks up to try and jump you and Candace and harm you, I'm sure that's not an easy memory to relive. And knowing that Ashley was behind all that, I would have had the same exact reaction, because how dare you, of all people, to sit up here and ask me about an event that you set up. Don't ask me anything about it. Be happy that I'm even talking to you. And for Ashley to try to spin it around once more and be like, oh, well, I just was asking because she has a skincare line and, I don't even see the scar. So I was wondering if her skincare line was able to fade the scar because her skin looks great. It's like, girl, stop. You were not trying to pay her a compliment. That was not a harmless question. You did that to inflict more harm and pain and to bring up a horrible time. And for the viewers who believe in violence and feel like Candace's mouth was so reckless and, she was just so crazy and she deserved to get hit in season 5, I'm really surprised how I don't see that same energy for Ashley. It's just weird how Ashley and Mia get away with all their BS and nobody bats an eye. But other people say things and they deserve all this violence. It's weird to me. I'll never understand it. So we see Wendy get up and she checks on Kiana. And I have to say, Karen, for you to claim that you and Kiana are great friends and you love her and that's your girl, you have her back, I was a bit surprised that you also did not check on Kiana either. And Mia's so hateful and evil because she's sitting there so smug. She has that stupid smile on her face and she's like, well, don't dish it if you can't take it. I said, girl, you started this whole entire thing bringing up her ex-boyfriend and then calling her stitches when she checked you on how you assaulted Wendy. You're the one who can't take what you dish out, because when Candace and Wendy read you down, you resorted to violence. I'm enjoying Jazzy a lot because she even checks Ashley. She's like, Ashley, do you wear glasses? Because if you do look, you can see the scar on her forehead. Like, it's there. Why would you even ask her that? I said, please get her again.
I'm gonna just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
So now we see Kiana and Wendy come back to the table, and Kiana's like, look, all I'm gonna say, Ashley, is when it comes to that whole situation, do not ever ask me about that again. That's not your place. When it comes to that topic, that's off limits. So now, Jacqueline, I don't know if you completely zoned out while all this went down, but when you turned around and asked Kiana, how did this even come up? And Kiana looked at you and said, are you okay? I said, Kiana, that was my exact reaction too. Because Jacqueline, is everything all right up here? So after all that, they toast and say happy birthday to Wendy. And now Karen says, may I just interrupt for a minute? May I be messy? And they're like, sure. So Karen turns to Jacqueline and she says, Jacqueline, are you still working things out with your man, Mr. PP? And we all know that Jacqueline gave her baby daddy / on again, off again, long-term boyfriend that nickname of Mr. PP. For all my OG Potomac watchers, you know that anytime Karen is asking you a question, especially after you've gotten into it, you already know that there's some shade attached. And Jacqueline fell right into the trap. And Jacqueline says that they're co-parenting their children together and things are working nicely. So when I tell you Karen had me gagging. Karen says, so did you stand by Patrick before or after he had 25 convictions? I said, wait, what? The whole table is speechless. Stacy had me wheezing. She said, oh my gosh, 25 what? So you have Jacqueline stuttering and Karen says, yeah, did you stand by that? Because again, he was charged and then fired. I said, one thing about Miss Karen Huger, when she's in her bag, she is truly in her bag. because, honey, she snatched all of Jacqueline's edges. So Jacqueline is talking a mile a minute, okay? She cannot believe that Karen has just spilled her tea. So she says, well, it was an internal investigation done in his department. It's not any criminal offenses. And yes, he did end up losing his position, but now he's back in a new role as a police officer. So I just said, now, girl, while you're sitting up there trying to shade and embarrass Karen and trying to spill tea and be funny and messy about how she called you up drunk, allegedly, now you're sitting up here gagged at how Karen easily spilled your tea about your baby daddy / on again, off again boyfriend losing his job due to 25 convictions. I said, oh, okay. This is why it pays to just keep your mouth shut sometimes and mind your own business. So now Karen says, well, I was told that you left him after this whole thing went down. And now we cut to Mia's confessional, and Mia, the way you aired out your friend's business like that, I said, girl, I would not tell the world that your friend is a dummy for a man. For you to say that Jacqueline is loyal because she not only stood by Patrick when this happened, but she still stayed with him after he kept hurting her. My mind went to, oh, so there's been a lot of cheating going on and she stayed by his side. Got it. Jacqueline and Patrick's situation screams of struggle love. And there is no prize for building a man. Now, I was here for Wendy clocking Mia and Jacqueline because she turns to Mia and she says, now here you are trying to come for my friend Kiarna about her past, but yet you're friends with somebody who's with a man who has 25 convictions. So Mia's upset and she's like, girl, get your facts straight. I said, girl, why don't you learn how to be quiet and stop trying to air people out when you and your best friend are up here with skeletons in your closets? You thought it was fun and games to blast Kiarna and Karen about some stale tea, but now when somebody checks you and your friend, now it's not so funny. And Ashley, do you hear yourself? Because for you to say that you've seen Karen use these tactics on you, I said, baby, pot meets kettle, because you do this every season. You're always digging up dirt on other people and lying on other people, I might add. So how dare you act like Karen was wrong for what she did to Jacqueline? She had every right. So now Jacqueline says that her baby daddy was working in a very racist department and how this was 6 or 7 years ago. So now Ashley jumps in and says, look, everybody has a past. And Wendy clocks Ashley once again. She says, oh, wait. So now everybody has a past? And now Stacey jumps in and says, oh yeah, everybody has a past. So now Ashley's like, okay, child, whatever. I said, since when did Ashley start saying child after every sentence? We have never heard her say that until now. It just seems like Ashley is trying to morph into Candace little by little. And I've always suspected that Ashley was jealous of Candace since day one. I think it's interesting that Candace is gone, and now we're seeing Ashley sporting a bob in her confessional. The makeup's looking similar to Candace's. Now she's saying, child. It's like, girl, you never said that before. What's all this about? So Jacqueline's pissed at Karen, and she says, Karen, I can't believe this. And for you to bring up my child's father, really? So Karen says, oh, girl, let's not do that. You're such a saint now. You're just made of pure snow. Like, please get the F out of here. So Karen says, bottom line, you went around this group defaming me. It got back to me because I'm very well respected in this group. So now Jacqueline says, oh, you're well respected with 2 DUIs, really? And Karen says, I don't have 2 DUIs, dingbat. I said, not a dingbat. Again, when Karen is in her bag, I will always give her her 10s, because she ate Jacqueline all the way up. So now Jacqueline says, Karen, you're a low down, dirty shame. So Karen says, no, I'm not. I'm God's baby. I said, let her know, Karen. Let her know you are a child of God. Y'all, I had tears coming down. This felt like old school Potomac again. This felt like seasons 3 and 4. So Karen and Jacqueline are still going, and now Wendy jumps in to defend Karen, and she says, but Jacqueline, when you brought up Kiana's ex-boyfriend, is that not defamation?
That was about her ex-boyfriend. Now it's defamation. Now it's defamation about Kay's boyfriend. It don't work that way, sweetheart. Okay, to be fair, we didn't.
Then she tells Jacqueline that that's not how this works. So now Ashley fixes her mouth to defend Mia and Jacqueline, and I was so delighted when Wendy said, Ashley, shut your ass up right now. So Wendy and Ashley are going at it, and now Stacey jumps in and she's like, stop it right now, show the birthday girl some respect. So now Jacqueline and Karen are still going at it, and Mia's like, that was low. And I said, Mia, you were out here calling Kiana stitches. I would not say anything about what's too low because what you said was disgusting. So Jacqueline goes on this rant about how she will always protect and defend the people that she loves, and how Patrick always liked Karen and he would always say to her, leave Karen alone, that's my girl. And the way Karen just easily read Jacqueline, she says, Patrick talks to you. I said, whack her again, please. Karen was like, girl, stop. You know you and that man don't talk. You got a piece of a man. Wendy was so over all the arguing because she raises up her glass and says, guys, let's just toast to my birthday, and let's toast to this being the low of the day, and let's just have the rest of the day on a high note. I said, Wendy, good luck with that. So lunch is officially over, and now we see everybody broken off into mini groups, and they're talking amongst each other about what just happened. So we see Kiana, Karen, and Jazzy off to the side, and Jazzy's like, girl, what's tea? So Kiana says, girl, when it comes to my face and what happened to me last year, I feel how I feel about that, but I'll be damned if a bitch who looks like she has rocks thrown at her face is gonna read me about anything. And she's obviously talking about Mia and her craters. So we see Jacqueline talking to Ashley. Of course, she's playing victim, saying that what Karen said is deflection and how it's sad. I said, girl, you started this entire thing. You brought this on yourself. And we cut to Karen talking to Wendy and Stacey about what went down. And she said, look, I don't relish in what I just did, but sometimes you have to fight fire with fire, and that's what I did. It is what it is. She started this, so I finished it. Then she goes on to say that Jacqueline threw out rumors and she threw out facts. So now Mia's talking about, you know, I'm scared for Karen because if she goes through this every single year with missing her mom, she needs some help. And now Mia brings up how Karen's court date is in 2 weeks. So now Stacey walks in the room and she's like, why do you guys keep going so hard on Karen? And of course, Mia can never own up to anything. She's like, we don't go hard on Karen at all. I said, girl, what? So Mia whips out her phone and shows Stacey all the charges. And she says, is this what you stand for? I said, oh my gosh. Really, Mia? You're really trying this hard to turn Stacey against Karen? Really? Are we in middle school? But anyhow, Mia's reading out all the charges and Stacey is blown away. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. It's charge after charge after charge. And now Stacey says that she's not trying to tear Karen down. And Mia's like, we're not either, but we do think that she needs to go to rehab. Now, the minute she said that, Ashley and Stacey walked out that room like, girl, I don't want no parts in this conversation. And I said, Mia, you need to tread lightly. This is not what you want. And you better stop poking the bear before Karen says something really nasty regarding you and your life and what you have going on. I wouldn't do too much. And you know it's bad when even Ashley Darby is like, you know what? That might be a bit too far. But Stacey's in shock hearing Mia say that, and now she walks directly over to Karen and she says, Karen, I need to tell you something. And Karen's like, yeah, girl, what's up? And Stacey says, I'm so disturbed by the conversation that I had with Mia and Jacqueline just now. I was defending you, but they show the screenshots of your charges. And Karen's like, look, girl, those are allegations and I can't talk about it. So Stacey says, well, girl, it gets worse because they told me not to defend you, but I'm gonna always have your back. So now Karen interjects and she says, first off, I'm not upset with you. Those are all allegations, and it's public info, so anybody can read about it, but the court will have its day. So we close out the episode with Stacey saying, but Karen is worse than that, because they were saying that you need to go to rehab, and how you admitted one time that you do need to go to rehab for your alcoholism. So Karen's just staring at her, and we see "to be continued" flash on our screens, and that's where the episode ends. Now, let me tell you something. I already know that Karen is about to go off and turn Mia and Jacqueline every which way but loose. For them to say that she needs to go to rehab, especially on camera, while this court case is pending, I already know that the next episode, more mess is about to go down. Mia and Jacqueline, you deserved every bit of the tongue lashings that you got from Karen and Kiarna in this episode, because you guys both tried it. And Ashley too. I am prayerful and I'm believing that the three of y'all will be receiving your pink slips at the end of this season. Especially Ashley, because Ashley has brought us nothing since season 5. She has been coasting. And y'all made a great point in my comments in my last recap that Candace being gone took away Ashley's storyline, because Ashley's whole entire existence was all about antagonizing Candace. And now her plot line is gone, so what does she have? Nothing. But y'all, Potomac is back. She's that girl. Season 9, I'm enjoying. This episode, chef's kiss. But y'all, thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for listening on the podcast. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.